Look, it's important to note one thing, that this flotilla of ships included 6 ships, 5 of which were the same unit, with the same tactic, with the same soldiers. Everything went fine. They were brought into Ashdod. The last ship, things went wrong. Why did they go wrong? Because we did not think that peace activists, rightly or wrongly we didn't think, would have knives. You saw the blades, iron bars, metal pipe.
The occupation decided to carry out this piracy and to go beyond all the norms and laws of humanity. This isn't a surprise to us, since we know the occupation and its crimes.
As a matter of routine, our military examines all its activities. There is no doubt that we didn't aim at the result, the tragic result, as occurred. Actually, when our soldiers boarded the ship, they were practically barehanded, no lethal instruments in their hands.
The Israelis have always been threatening since day one, from when we wanted to launch the flotilla. Every attempt where there's been to end the siege, they've always been quite aggressive. But I've got to be honest, I didn't even expect Israel to disregard international law so flagrantly.
Israeli forces propelled down onto the decks of these ships where there are 700 unarmed internationals and started attacking them and shooting them indiscriminately. All they did on board was defend themselves.
The Israeli troops fired first.
Absolutely. Why were they on the boat? These people were in international waters where they have the right to be. They were going to Gaza. It has nothing to do with Israel. Why is Israel dictating to them where they can and cannot go? They're in international waters.
But you were warned.
What's going on in Gaza at the moment is disgusting. What's happening in the West Bank is despicable. Israel's getting away with war crimes on a daily basis.
The strongest condemnation of the attacks has come from Turkey, which described events as murder by a state. Our correspondent Jonathan Head is in Istanbul.
Yes, and the groups that were behind this convoy, it's a largely Turkish charity, has a very, very wide support base. It got a terrific send-off when it left Istanbul just over a week ago. So there is a tremendous sense of indignation about what happened, about the numbers of Turkish nationals who've been killed and injured. We don't even know what that total is yet.
Well, I think that the loss of innocent civilian life is always to be condemned. It's never justified for governments, especially democratic governments that live by international law, to be party to the loss of innocent civilian life.
The ships left Cyprus, making their way down towards Gaza. At the centre of the flotilla, the Marmaris, the largest vessel, that Turkish-registered ship. The Israelis, meanwhile, had prepared their forces in the naval port of Haifa and went out and intercepted still around 20 miles outside their 68-mile exclusion zone around Gaza. So they did it in international waters, pretty dubious, many people say. There are certain rights you have to board or investigate shipping on the high seas, but why didn't they wait for those people, against Israeli warnings, to actually enter the waters and change the legal and political dynamics by allowing that to happen?
Good morning. The United Nations Security Council has called for an immediate and impartial inquiry into Israel's military operation near Gaza. Let's go to Weir Davis in Jerusalem.
The Council, in this context, condemns those acts which resulted in the loss of at least 10 civilians and many wounded, and expresses its condolences to their families.
I'm not sure this has to do with the Gaza policy, because as long as Hamas is there imposing war not only on Israel but also on Egypt, on the Palestinian Authority, and imposing war on its own, on the Palestinians living in Gaza, I'm not sure there can be a fundamental change in policies towards that zone. But the operation itself is something that we need to look into very, very seriously.
Yes, of course. But the problem is that they killed these people in order to protect themselves and their citizens. They made the siege on Gaza because they want to protect themselves and their security. They made the occupation of Gaza for the last 42 years because they want to protect Israel and its citizens. They actually uprooted us in 1948 and made us refugees in our refugee camps now because they wanted to protect themselves and protect their security. So when is the end of this security issue? When Israel is really looking for peace, to be a good neighbor, to show us a human face instead of this ugly face of brute brutal killing and destruction as they have been doing in defiance of all international standards and ethics.
The confrontation took place some 100 kilometers off the coast of Gaza in international waters. It's now up to the international community to have the final word and pass judgment. Paul Islier, RT, Ashdod, Israel.